This fine gentleman is Reverend Charles Ludwig Dodgson, but he is better known by his pen name, Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll was a wonderful man of the Victorian period in England. He was an Oxford graduate, a genius mathematician, and a very clever writer. Of course, he is best known as the author of the books Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. With these two books, Carroll established himself as one of the greatest innovators in the field of children's literature, as he himself changed the medium for the better and inspired later great books for children as well. Prior to the two Alice books, most books for children during the Victorian age were used as tools for teaching children good moral behavior. The History of Little Goody Two-Shoes by John Newbery is an example of this type of literature. A problem Carroll had with these books, however, was that they came off as preachy and condescending, thus discouraging children from reading them. Carroll was in favor of children reading, but he also felt that children should have fun and enjoy the stories that they read. And so, it was with this idea that he came up with his two beloved books. Both Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass were written with the purpose of entertaining children and thus encouraging them to read more. Of course, that's not all Lewis Carroll did for this field of literature. The two Alice books also introduced the idea of making children's literature enjoyable for adults as well, since they were the ones reading these stories to their children. And so, Carroll did this by inserting a wide variety of clever wordplay and puns in his stories, poking fun at the political and economic events of the time period, and even inserting witty parodies of the poetry of the time. And finally, the last important thing Lewis Carroll did for children's literature was that he encouraged the usage of imagination. With such creative and unusual characters like the Dodo, the Cheshire Cat, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and the White Knight, he encouraged people of all ages to use their imaginations and come up with their own unique characters and stories. With all of these achievements under his belt, people have since appreciated Lewis Carroll as the genius that he is in children's literature. So much so that to this day, people are still paying homage to his classic books. There have been many different adaptations of the Alice stories, ranging from the fun Walt Disney film adaptation to the dark and mature video games by American McGee, and even including a famed song adaptation by the Beatles. And adding to that, there have been a wide variety of children's books that followed, paying both direct and indirect tribute to the Alice books. And let's not forget the other great children's books that followed Carroll's lead in imagination and being more than just simple stories. Carroll's influence has come a long way. And so, at the end of the day, it is safe to say that Lewis Carroll was one of the most brilliant innovators of the field of children's literature. His work will be forever loved for changing how we look at books for children, and will hopefully continue to inspire the creativity of more books to come.